Morning sunlight streams through the tall courthouse windows and splinters into sharp lines across the polished wooden floors. The room is deceptively calm, filled with the faint aroma of coffee and aged paper, and something else, an almost tangible tension that weighs down each breath. Kody Brown sat at the defense table, his palms pressed firmly onto the wood, as if holding himself together. His knuckles are white, and his jaw is tight. Every small movement seems magnified under the scrutiny of everyone present. Across from him, Christine sits with perfect composure. Her posture is correct, controlled, every line of her body screaming readiness and defiance. She doesn't just look at Kody, she studies him, anticipating each twitch, each hesitation, each word that might betray him. There's an edge in her gaze, sharp enough to cut glass. Meri, seated a few rows back, fidgets with a tissue in her hand, biting her lower lip, her eyes darting back and forth, as if trying to predict the next calamity. Janelle leans slightly toward her, whispering soft reassurances, though her own tension is impossible to hide. Robyn sits composed, almost unnaturally still, fingers brushing over the corner of a thick envelope hidden under her lap, a small object containing explosive evidence that could tip the balance of this courtroom entirely. The bailiff's voice cuts sharply through the stillness. All rise, court is now in session. The rustling of papers, the shuffle of feet, and the quiet settling of the room feel like the overture to a storm. Judge Harmon, a stern figure with piercing eyes, gavel in hand, calls the courtroom to order. We are here today to address the ongoing disputes regarding the Brown family estate and allegations of concealed financial transactions. Let us proceed. From the back, a longtime family friend is called to the stand. The witness, having known the family for decades, starts by recounting years of interaction with the Browns. At first, the voice is calm, almost nostalgic, speaking of family gatherings, celebrations, and the image of a seemingly perfect household. But the undercurrent of unease is there. Every anecdote carries a subtle weight, a foreshadowing that all is not as it seems. Kody fidgets, shifting in his seat as unease flickers in his eyes. Christine's lips curl into a faint, knowing smile. Meri bites her knuckles, holding back a sob. Robyn's fingers tighten on the hidden envelope. The words of the witness, though polite, feel like the careful tugging of threads in a fabric ready to unravel. The witness begins to speak of financial irregularities. Transfers made without Kody's knowledge. Meetings held in secret. Conversations carefully avoided in front of certain family members. With each sentence, the tension in the room rises, coiling tighter around everyone present. Kody leans forward, voice quiet but shaking slightly. I had no idea these meetings were happening, he says, almost whispering, yet the courtroom hears every syllable. Christine's eyes glint with satisfaction, the tiniest flicker of triumph. Meri gasps quietly, covering her mouth with her hand, as if to shield herself from the truth spilling out in real time. Robyn's face is unreadable. Calm, but her mind races. She knows the contents of the envelope she holds could destroy the family's fragile equilibrium in an instant. Subparagraph. The witness does not say anything more, as if he is leaving it in the air. And you, Miss Robyn, did you ever inform Mr. Brown of the funds transferred without his knowledge? The room collectively inhales. Robyn swallows, and every muscle of her body becomes tense. A battle between fear and responsibility with regard to telling the truth rages within her. Kody's hands tremble slightly, the subtle gesture betraying his outward composure. Christine leans back in her chair, as if a predator satisfied with her prey, eyes locked on him. Janelle turns to Meri, whose tear-streaked face now looks fragile against the weight of unspoken histories. The air in the room has thickened for every person. charged with anticipation and dread. The defense attorney stands up, clears their throat, and then rustles papers in a deliberate, almost menacing rhythm. Your Honor, they start off smoothly, but with authority in their voice. Before the witness continues further, we would like to approach for a brief sidebar to discuss matters of procedure and sensitive information that may prejudice this case. The gavel raps, and murmurs spread like wildfire across the courtroom. Kody swallowed hard. Christine said nothing, with a hint of a smirk playing on her lips. Meri let out a sharp exhalation to steady herself, and Robyn finally took a breath, her mind racing with what she'd do next. During the brief recess, the whispers start outside the courtroom. Did you see Robyn's expression? Christine's playing this perfectly. Kody is in over his head. Meri, I don't think she's going to recover from this. The air is electric, alive with speculation, fear, and anticipation. Inside, meanwhile, the Brown family sits with a quiet, almost unbearable tension. A family knowing full well the storm is far from over. When the court reconvenes, the witness resumes, eyes flicking toward Robyn. Their tone sharpens, the nostalgia now gone, replaced by precise recounting of specific incidents that reveal a pattern of secret dealings. The room listens, rapt, every small detail magnified, every pause pregnant with implication. Kody's jaw tightens, Christine's gaze sharpens, Meri closes her eyes, and Janelle grips her seat, bracing for impact. Robyn's fingers lightly brush the envelope again, a subtle reminder that the next revelation could obliterate everything. Judge Harmon leans slightly forward, rests his hands on the bench, and his eyes scan each Brown family member. Serious allegations, he intones, and the court must consider veracity and implications carefully. Miss Robyn, are you prepared to provide your testimony? Robyn nods slightly, her calm demeanor masking the turmoil inside. Yes, Your Honor, she says, voice steady but soft. I have information that may clarify these matters, though it may be difficult for my family to hear. Every word lands like a drumbeat in the tense room, echoing in the minds of the Brown wives and Kody alike. The witness's testimony changes the pace of the atmosphere in the room. Details of hidden transfers, meetings that excluded Kody, and conversations carefully avoided are like cracks in a glass ceiling that have finally become visible, threatening to splinter under pressure. Christine leans back, satisfied, her calculated patience paying off. Meri dabs at her tears, her hand shaking slightly as the weight of decades of unspoken truths weighs down on her. Janelle says nothing, but watches, a storm brewing quietly behind her eyes, aware this will increase the possibility of a family fracture. Kody sits frozen, his mind racing with denial, betrayal, and fear all at once. The session ends with a small but dramatic cliffhanger, wherein the witness mentions an envelope that Robyn holds, which contains evidence so critical that it could completely alter the proceedings. Cameras click, murmurs rise from the courtroom, and the family exchanges tense glances. Every person feels the impending impact of what's about to come. The end of Session 1 is electrifying. Judge Harmon leans back, and, with the gavel in his hand, he says, "We will recess briefly, but when we return, the testimony will continue. Be prepared for matters that may considerably affect the case." Kody exhales, trying to compose himself. Christine smiles faintly, confident. Meri bows her head, whispering a quiet prayer. Janelle holds her hand, and Robyn touches the envelope. The calm in her eyes betrays the storm she's about to unleash. The courtroom is charged with an almost unbearable tension as it reconvenes. The murmurs from the hallway have barely died out, and the air smells heavier now, like a mix of anticipation and fear. Every member of the Brown family sits rigidly, the previous session's revelations still echoing in their minds. Kody's hands are clenched on the table, knuckles white, jaw tight. His usual calm demeanor has cracked, replaced by a flicker of panic he can't hide. Robyn gets up to testify, a quiet precision in the rise to her feet, yet the room can feel the storm she carries in her hands. She clears her throat and starts off, steady but measured, recounting financial transfers that Kody had never known about. At first, the court is quiet, almost polite, but as she continues, the weight of her words seems to press on them like a physical force. Several accounts were opened in my name, she explains, without Kody's knowledge. Certain decisions regarding the family estate were made in secrecy and meetings were held, which he was excluded from altogether. Her eyes dart to Kody, who fidgets in his seat. Christine leans forward, a sense of satisfaction on her face. Meri conceals a trembling hand behind her mouth, as her eyes well with tears. Janelle clasps her hands tightly, trying to steady herself. The defense attorney pounces, probing, twisting, trying to corner Robyn. "And you knew all of this for months without telling Mr. Brown?" he asks, voice sharp. Robyn meets his gaze steadily. "Yes, I knew, but not to harm him. I wanted the family to understand the truth before more damage was done." The tension spikes when a new witness is called, a former family assistant claiming to have overheard secret meetings and financial discussions. Their testimony is meticulous, almost clinical, laying bare the hidden patterns of deception that have plagued the family for years. Kody's face pales with each revelation. Christine's smirk grows faintly sharper, satisfied by the unraveling of Kody's world. Meri can barely breathe, caught between heartbreak and vindication. Robyn remains calm, carefully observing the impact of each statement. The courtroom feels like it's closing in. Each shuffle of paper, each cough, every creak of the wooden floors seems amplified. The Brown wives' alliances, once tenuously stable, are now strained to the breaking point. Janelle watches silently, calculating her next move, while Christine leans back, arms crossed, clearly enjoying the unfolding chaos. Then comes the moment that sends shockwaves through everyone present. Robyn opens the envelope she's been clutching. Inside are documents and records that confirm hidden financial dealings, transactions executed without Kody's knowledge, and secret agreements that challenge everything that the family believed to be true. Gasps echo through the room. Kody's eyes widen in disbelief. Meri shakes her head, fighting to process the betrayal. Christine leans forward, a predator savoring the moment. The judge cuts in, his hand rising to still the growing murmurs. "This is significant testimony," he says, firm in tone. "We will examine these documents carefully before proceeding further." Kody's face is pale, his composure unraveling. Robyn's calm exterior contrasts violently with the storm around her, as if she is the only one in control of the situation. Another bombshell drops, and the courtroom falls silent. The assistant refers to conversations that tell a tale of hidden agendas and alignments, secret loyalties, betrayals, and manipulations that no one saw coming. Christine leans forward eagerly. Meri's hands shake. Janelle looks worried and calculating, while Kody freezes, having been caught in a web of deceit he barely understands. The judge calls for a brief recess, and the tension becomes nearly unbearable. Everyone rises, the room thick with speculation and whispered conversations. Robyn calmly and almost serenely walks by Kody, leaving him to wonder what she will reveal next. Christine's eyes follow her, calculating, predatory. Meri's shoulders shake, Janelle grips her hands tightly, and Kody's jaw clenches in silent frustration. When the court reconvenes, Robyn produces the most damaging evidence yet. A ledger with secret agreements, furtive transfers, and notes that contradict Kody's understanding of the family estate. Each word is a blow to the carefully constructed reality the family once lived in, as every eye is on her. Kody's defense crumbles. His explanations stumble with the weight of undeniable proof. Christine's eyes gleam with satisfaction, but even she knows the tension is not fully dissolved. Meri wipes her tears furtively, overwhelmed by the revelation, but relieved that finally it's on its way into the open. Janelle leaned back to observe and weigh her position carefully. The calm authority of Robyn, in this moment, made it clear. She was in control, and the court and the family knew it. As the session wears on to a close, the air is palpably charged. Each glance, every movement creates meaning. Kody shares an intense glance with Robyn, trying to assess her next step in the drama. Christine's eyes don't leave him, calculating, always calculating. Meri's face is white, her eyes wide in shock and release, while Janelle looks torn between standing by her family and surviving the bedlam. The session ends with Judge Harmon intoning, "We will continue testimony after a short recess. Be prepared for information that may profoundly affect these proceedings." The gavel falls. The room slowly empties, but the tension hangs in the air over the family like some kind of storm cloud. Cameras flash at every hint of expression, at every nuance of reaction. Every person leaves the room knowing the coming revelations will be far more explosive. Whispers fill the halls outside the courtroom. "Did you see the look on Kody's face?" someone says. "Robyn, she's playing this perfectly." Christine, enjoying every second. Together, yet separate, the family members move in their own private storm. Inside, the envelope remains unopened on Robyn's lap, a potent symbol of the control and power of the secrets still to be revealed. The courtroom feels smaller now, almost suffocating, as if the walls themselves are closing in on the Brown family. The tension from the previous session lingers like a thick fog, and every rustle of paper or quiet shuffle echoes like a gunshot. Kody sits at the defense table, shoulders rigid, eyes darting nervously. He's no longer just worried about evidence. He's worried about his family unraveling in real time. Christine's sharp gaze never leaves him, calculating, assessing, savoring the strain she has subtly created. Meri can no longer contain herself. She rises slowly, shaking, with tears streaming down her cheeks. Her voice breaks as she speaks, filled with a vulnerability the courtroom has rarely seen. "I trusted all of you," she says, her voice whispering more to herself than to anyone else. "I believed in the family, in us. But it seems that trust was never real." The courtroom falls silent. Even the judge's eyes soften slightly. Janelle reaches over to Meri and touches her shoulder tenderly, but the tension within her, what feels like weight from years of secrets crashing down, is palpable. Robyn stands next to him, observing every detail. Her tranquil surface is a stark contrast to the storm of emotions around her. She knows the next few moments will alter the course of this trial. Slowly, deliberately, she opens the envelope full of pages of documents, letters, and handwritten notes. Each document is part of a puzzle, one that forms an even darker picture of deception and betrayal than anyone could have imagined. Christine leans forward now, her voice slicing like a knife. "So all of this was happening without Kody knowing? You kept him in the dark while decisions were made behind his back?" she asks, her tone incredulous and triumphant. Kody swallows hard, searching for words, but none come. His hands shake as he grasps the table. Meri whispers, "How could this happen?" Janelle bites her lip, her heart torn between loyalty and survival. The judge raises a hand, calling for order, but even he cannot still the tempest. "Ms. Robyn, please continue with your testimony. What you reveal could have profound implications." Robyn clears her throat and chooses her words with care. "These documents show transfers and agreements that were made in secret. Decisions that involve the entire family were executed without the knowledge of certain members thereof. I have kept silent for months to avoid conflict, but the truth cannot remain hidden any longer." Her gaze sweeps around the courtroom, landing briefly on Kody, who flinches. Every eye in the room follows her movements, every breath held in anticipation. Suddenly, an unexpected witness is called, someone who had been a close advisor to Kody himself. Their testimony provided a shocking new layer. Not only did he conceal financial decisions, but personal alliances and secret promises were made where trust within the family was compromised. Christine's lips curl in satisfaction as she enjoys the unraveling of Kody's tightly clenched controls. Meri covers her face, trying to absorb the layers of betrayal. Janelle sits up straight, calculating what this means for her position. Things get thicker in the courtroom as Robyn brings forth evidence that some of the family members may have known more than they let on. The tension now becomes palpable. Each family member was caught in a storm of doubt, fear, and anger. Kody's face paled, and his earlier confidence was in shreds as he realized the family he thought he knew was now a puzzle with missing, shifting pieces. As the session wears on, emotions rise. Christine cuts into him, her voice sharp and clear. "Do you even understand what's happening here? Or have you been blind to everything?" Kody attempts to speak, but is cut off by Robyn's further revelation, an internal memo showing secret discussions that Kody previously had no knowledge of. His jaw clenches, and his composure begins to slip. The room is now filled with Meri's quiet yet powerful sobs, each a reminder of the human cost of deception. Janelle leans forward, trying to remain impartial, but visibly anxious. Robyn's calmness provides a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil of the family, making her testimony all the more commanding and dramatic. The judge calls for a break, sensing that the intensity is reaching dangerous levels. The room erupts into whispers as the gavel falls. Cameras flash, capturing raw emotion on every face. Outside, the murmur of spectators makes an attempt to understand the full scale of what has been revealed. The Brown family exits the courtroom slowly, each lost in a storm of thoughts. Kody's hands shake a little while folding in front of himself. Christine walks with quiet confidence, knowing the advantage her insight has given her. Meri's shoulders shake as she silently wipes away her tears. Janelle remains cautious, observing, calculating, and Robyn clutches the envelope, the eye in the middle of this hurricane, knowing full well she holds the key to the next revelation. Session 3's last moments are electric. The audience is left right at the edge when the camera pans across Kody's strained face, Christine's cold satisfaction, the heartbreak of Meri, and the uncertainty of Janelle. Robyn remains composed, an embodiment of control and poise amidst the weighted revelation to be made. The courtroom is silent, except that every heartbeat appears amplified, every second pregnant with anticipation of the next dramatic twist. The gavel falls one last time, signaling the end of the session. We will continue with testimony and evidence review after a brief recess, the judge says. All parties are reminded that the next phase may bring significant developments. The Brown family files out of the courtroom, each lost in his own thoughts, silently bracing for the consequences that will soon unfold. The courtroom, after the brief recess, begins to fill once more with renewal, as if the air in this room has transformed, no longer just tense, but a quiet storm ready to explode. The Brown family comes in, faces strained, eyes darting at every corner, alert to the realization that this phase could be crucial. Kody is perched at the defense table in his usual rigid manner, with hands clasped tightly and his jaws locked. His eyes dart time and again toward Robyn, who sits calmly, indifferent to the storm she is orchestrating. Christine sat upright, with her arms across, looking razor-sharp into every expression. Meri remained fragile, tear-stained from cheeks, while Janelle sat between support and self-preservation. The judge clears his throat to resume testimony. We will now proceed with further evidence review. All parties are reminded to maintain decorum. The room hushes. Every whisper dies as the first witness is called. This time, it's someone from within the family's inner circle, a former manager who claims to have had access to confidential financial and personal records. As the witness begins to speak, the courtroom leans collectively. The testimony is damning. Not only was he left out of key decisions, but some family members might have actively kept information from Kody. Kody shifts uncomfortably as his composure cracks in subtle ways, twitches in his hands, a tightness in his throat, eyes that flit nervously. Christine's eyes glitter in satisfaction, almost predatory. Meri's lips shake as she tries to wrap her head around the extent of the betrayal. Janelle's gaze is analytical, silently mapping alliances and threats. Robyn remains poised, her calmness a stark contrast to the tension now rippling through the room. Robyn is called onto the stand again. Her voice is steady, deliberate, each word chosen to maximize clarity and impact. There were agreements made, she says, holding the documents for all to see, that not only affected the estate, but also the relationships within the family. Decisions were executed without transparency, and the consequences have rippled through our lives in ways we are only beginning to understand. Christine quickly leans forward. So you're admitting that Kody was kept in the dark, she says, her tone accusatory and satisfied all at once. Kody opens his mouth, but then hesitates. Words fail him. The room seems to lean closer as the understanding dawns on everyone present that this stopped being about money long ago, but about trust, loyalty, and betrayal. The tension escalates when another piece of evidence comes to light. A series of texts and emails among family members, previously unknown, which allude to clandestine discussions and subtle manipulations. Christine leans forward, savoring the unfolding chaos. Meri's hands shake as she wipes tears, overwhelmed by years of hidden truths. Janelle fidgets slightly. The battle between family loyalty and self-preservation is written across her face, clear as day. Kody, stuck in the crossfire, feels the room closing in on him. The courtroom door suddenly opens, and an unexpected witness enters. A former family associate, presumed neutral, mounts the stand with documents in hand. Their testimony exposes not only financial deception, but emotional manipulations and hidden alliances. Kody's face turns ashen, the weight of decades of secrets, until now buried, bearing down on him. Christine leans forward, her satisfaction palpable. Meri covers her face. She could not bear the flood of revelations. Janelle quietly observes, torn between fear and strategy. Robyn stands, taking a step closer to the judge, and introduces what she describes as the most critical evidence to date, a detailed ledger showing secret transactions and agreements, and handwritten notes showing intent and alliances not previously disclosed. The courtroom erupts in a murmur of shock. Ripples of gasps echo through the audience. Kody's jaw clenches, fists clenching. Christine smiles faintly, her confidence unshaken. Meri is shaking, a mix of disbelief and relief washing over her face. Janelle sits silently, eyes darting between each reaction, trying to read what's next. The judge raises his gavel for order. We will briefly recess to review this evidence in private. All parties are put on notice to prepare themselves for further questioning. The room erupts in a cacophony of murmurs, flashing cameras capturing every reaction and every whisper feeding the growing storm. Outside the courtroom, the tension is palpable, and everyone knows this is just the tip of the iceberg. As the Brown family files out for recess, glances are exchanged, each one laden with suspicion, anger, and fear. Kody's shoulders slump slightly, a quiet acknowledgement of the growing chaos. Christine walks with an air of calculated satisfaction. Meri's tears flow quietly as Janelle watches silently, and Robyn clutches her envelope, the calm in the center of this hurricane. The session closes on a cliffhanger. The judge's parting words echo in the court. The next testimony may reveal even deeper layers of deception. Be prepared for matters that will challenge trust, loyalty, and truth itself. Pause. The courtroom is almost silent as the Brown family returns from recess. The room is full, but the tension makes the space shrink. Kody sits at the defense table, his shoulders stiff, his fingers tapping a little nervously on the wood. His usual calm confidence is gone, replaced with unease, the weight of secrets pushing down on him. Christine leans forward a bit, a faint, knowing smirk crossing her lips, satisfied that the storm she helped to orchestrate was picking up speed. Meri wipes at her tear-streaked face, still fragile from the last testimony. Janelle quietly sits with folded hands, surveying the room, calculating what's to come. Robyn sits poised, hands resting lightly on the envelope she has clutched through the hearing like a weapon of truth. A steady, unruffled gaze. The judge calls the court to order. We shall now proceed with the next set of evidence and witness testimony. All parties, please remain attentive, as these revelations may have significant implications. The words hang in the air like a warning, setting the stage for what is about to unfold. The first witness is someone from the family's inner circle, a financial consultant who had long-term access to the Brown estate records. They begin recounting detailed transactions, meetings, and correspondences that were previously undisclosed. Kody shifts in his seat, sweat forming along his hairline, as if each revelation is a small weight pressing down on him. Christine's eyes glint with sharp satisfaction. Meri flinches with each word. Janelle leans slightly forward, and Robyn watches, calm but fully aware of the impact her upcoming testimony will have. Robyn is called to testify again. Her steps are deliberate, her voice steady, as she addresses the court. There are documents, she begins, carefully placing them in front of the judge, that reveal agreements and transactions executed without Mr. Brown's knowledge. These documents also highlight decisions made with partial truths, affecting trust, relationships, and the integrity of our family. Her eyes meet Kody's briefly. He flinches, and then scan the room, ensuring every person understands the gravity of her words. Christine cuts in sharply. So, Kody knew nothing, and the rest of you just let that happen. Her voice is thick with a mix of accusation and triumph. Kody can hardly find his words as the floor closes in on him, while Meri trembles, her voice a barely audible whisper. How could this have happened? Janelle watches intently, her mind racing with strategy and self-preservation. The courtroom leans in collectively, when Robyn presents the most explosive piece of evidence yet. A ledger full of secret transfers, handwritten notes, and agreements that completely contradict Kody's version of what was supposed to be going on with the family's finances. There is a mixture of gasps throughout the room. Color leaves Kody's face, the blood draining away as it becomes impossible to deny betrayal. Christine leans forward, her satisfaction palpable. Meri's hands shake, and silent tears fall down. Janelle bites her lip as she studies the fallout. Robyn, calm, cool, and collected, holds the room's attention with poise and clarity. The judge steps in, raising a hand for order to be observed. We are going to take a brief moment to review this evidence before proceeding further. All parties are reminded that the next testimony may be pivotal. The room buzzes with tension. Murmurs of speculation rise among the onlookers, and cameras click, capturing raw reactions of every family member present. As the court resumes, Robyn calmly outlines the ramifications of the ledger, financial secrecy tied to personal decisions and hidden dynamics that have impacted this family for years. Each revelation lands like a hammer blow. Kody's jaw tightens, his hands clench tightly. Christine's smile grows, satisfied with the chaos unfolding. Meri tries to absorb the enormity of the truth, quietly shaking. Janelle watches, calculating the emotional landscape and her own next moves. The session intensifies when another surprise witness enters, someone previously thought neutral, now revealing hidden conversations and actions that expose subtle manipulations and alliances within the family. The courtroom reacts audibly. Gasps, murmurs, and whispered speculations fill the air. Kody slumps slightly in his seat, a sense of helplessness washing over him. Christine's satisfaction is sharp and precise, Meri's despair visible, Janelle's attention acute, and Robyn remains a pillar of control, knowing she has guided the family to this critical moment. The session nears its climax when Robyn presents a final document, a set of emails and letters revealing not just financial secrecy, but personal deception and hidden tensions. The evidence paints a complex picture of betrayal, manipulation, and shifting loyalties. The courtroom is tense, electric, as everyone absorbs the magnitude of what has been revealed. Kody's face is pale, lines of shock and disbelief etched deep. Christine leans forward, eyes sharp, savoring the unraveling. Meri's trembling becomes more pronounced, a mix of relief and sorrow. Janelle quietly observes, wary of the emotional fallout. Judge Harmon rises slightly from the bench, his voice steady but grave. The evidence presented today is indeed considerable. The court will review all documents and testimonies presented carefully for further deliberation. All parties must be prepared for further questioning and critical examination. The gavel falls, and Session 5 comes to a close. The Brown family rises slowly and exits the courtroom in a tight, tense procession. Kody's hands remain clenched. Christine walks with quiet confidence. Meri wipes away tears, her shoulders weighted down with the depth of her betrayal. Janelle is cautious, monitoring the reactions of others. Robyn walks poised, the envelope still clutched in her hand, knowing she has navigated the family to a juncture from which there is no easy return. Outside the courtroom, there are whispers. Did you see the look on Kody's face? Robyn's calm is terrifying. Christine, she's relishing this. The weight of the session settles over the Brown family like a storm cloud, heavy, dark, and impossible to ignore.